Hi, I'm Alan Gaspé, Sales Engineer with West, here to talk to you about our solutions for E9-1-1 for Skype for Business. So this is very important. It's a really different approach that E9-1-1 has when you compare it to other UC platforms. So we essentially built the E9-1-1 solution with Microsoft back as part of the Link 2010 project. And everything that you see on TechNet on how E9-1-1 is supposed to be implemented follows exactly with how our solution works. So essentially, there's two main components that we typically integrate with. So the clients are what's called location aware. So that means that they know where they are. They send their location when they dial 911. So instead of it saying this phone number or this device has to be located, the client itself is smart enough to know where it is. So how that works is when the soft client starts up, it's going to query the front-end server. It's just part of the standard sign-in process. There's a configurable timeout that determines how often it retries, or anytime the device moves. So if it connects to a different access point, different switch, it undocks, docks, plugs in, all those different cases, it'll cause it to query the front-end server. The front-end server has a location information service database, or LIS. So this LIS database it contains a listing of all the different network elements. So say IP subnets, switches, wireless access points, things like that to identify this IP subnet or this access point are in these particular locations. So when the front-end server receives the query, the soft client is going to send in its IP address, its MAC address, the BSS ID of the access point it's connected to, and if it's LLDP-MED enabled, it'll also send a switch and port that it's connected to. So the front-end server takes all that information and then queries the location information service or LIS database to find a matching location record. It says, hey, I found you on this wireless access point. This BSS ID for the access point has been mapped out to be the second floor conference room. And then at that point, it returns the location data to the client. At that point, the client will cache that information and it holds on to that. So this is all before the 911 call. So this is all based off of identifying where the user is, totally irrelevant to their extension or DID or wherever it is. So it's like this client now knows where he is. The front-end server said, I found you, here you go. So it catches this information and it holds on to it until it makes a 911 call. So when it dials an emergency number that's configured the location policy, what it's going to do is it's going to send the call to the mediation server, and inside it, it's going to include a PIDFlow location element. So it's essentially XML formatted location data that goes inside the SIP signaling. It's one of the key components of NG911, and what it does is it says, I'm dialing 911, here's where I'm located. The mediation server then has a route to find out to the emergency routing service. The emergency routing service receives the XML location data that's been passed along. And what it does is it takes that PIDFlow data and it uses some mapping technologies to say this location is serviced by this PSAP. So that goes along with the MSAG validation that you go through to manage the list data. The ERS will actually deliver the call to the answering point with all the location data as well as the callback number of the user. So as part of all of this solution, there's no such thing as a phone number. The only time the phone number or an ELIN is actually a part of the conversation is it's actually the callback number of the user. So you don't have to manage external ALI databases or feed ELIN numbers or manage DIDs or any of that stuff. It's all working off of the location data in the list server and the emergency routing service to deliver the call. So as part of this information, the ERS also has the security notification options to be able to conference in your corporate security, as well as a couple different other methods to let them know that there's a 911 call is happening internally. But essentially, the solution works with the location services component and the LIS database to pass that information all the way down to the PSAP, very similar to the next-gen 911. So in a nutshell, that's how our solution works.